Hey guys, welcome back to Dan's Chess Lounge. I'm coming to you today from a remote location. I'm actually playing in a chess tournament myself this weekend, so that's why I'm a little late with the video, but I'm here with it. Today's game of the day is Sergey Karjakin versus Fabiano Caruana. It was a really good game. Let's go ahead and see what transpired over the board. Karjakin was white. He played e4, e5, knight f3, attacks the pawn there on e5, and you have the Petrov defense. Black plays knight f6. So black doesn't care about his pawn that's being attacked on e5. He goes ahead and he counterattacks the pawn on e4. This is also the opening that Fabiano beat Vladimir Kramnik in round number 4. So Caruana is very experienced, and he's definitely a very strong player in the Petrov defense. Knight takes e5, d6. Now black can recapture the material, and now you have knight c3 here. Knight takes, pawn takes. So white's pawn structure has been destroyed, but he has some pros though. He has some benefits to go along with it. He has the open files now for his bishops to come out, and then he also has the open files here and the semi-open file here for his rooks to occupy at some point. So basically, he has an easy way to develop his pieces and get his pieces out. Knight c6, bishop e3, bishop e7, queen d2. White is going to castle queenside here. Bishop e6, and here you go, queenside castle. Now this pawn here on a2 is being attacked, and I just want to say that both players are following good fundamentals. They're following good principles, good chess principles. Even the top world-class players, they just don't break the rules all the time. They follow good fundamentals and principles, and that's something that we should all, keep in mind for our own games. So if black does capture the pawn there on a2, now that's not a good move there because white would play b3, and now that bishop is trapped in the corner. So queen d7 was played. Now you have a3, which puts a stop to this b4 square being utilized, and also it removes the pawn from being attacked by the bishop. h6, this kind of does the same thing. It's a prophylactic move that keeps the knight and the bishop here off of that g5 square. A lot of times when the bishop is here, the knight will swing over to g5 and try to grab this bishop. Knight d4, knight takes knight. Now you have bishop takes, and now that's attacking the g7 pawn. So the rook protects it with rook g8. Bishop e2, developing move. c5 hits the bishop. Bishop drops back to e3. d5, black is gaining space in the center. So white strikes out. He's gaining space on the king side. Queenside castle. Now let's stop here and evaluate the position on the board. Both players have developed their pieces and they've castled queenside. So now, and if you notice, the position looks kind of symmetrical, minus the pawn being doubled up on the c file, but it's pretty even. It's a pretty even game at this point here. Now the players are going to try to implement their middle game strategy. Bishop f3, bishop g4 by Fabiano, and now you have bishop takes d5. Wow. What about the rook here on d1? It's hanging now. Bishop takes the rook, rook takes, and at the end of that, Karjakin is going for an ambitious line where he sacks the rook for one of black's pawns and his bishop. It's a very, very ambitious line, but he gets a good position from it, though. I guess he was tired of all that boring symmetry that I was just talking about. Queen c7, c4. Now, if you stop and evaluate this position here, Karjakin has a very nice position. He definitely has compensation for his sack, for his rook sack. You know, the bishop there on d5 is in the middle of the board, and it can't be removed by any of black's pieces except for if black sacks a rook for the bishop. So that is a very, very powerful piece in the middle of the board. Rook g e8, queen f2. Now you have b6 to shore up the c-pawn. g4, bishop f6. King goes to b1. Just getting ready to tuck the king over here on this either a1 or a2, just to get the king out of any danger. Rook d7. This adds more protection to this f pawn here that this bishop has been eyeing for a while, and it also allows black to have more possibilities. Black could double up on the e file. Black could double up on the d file. If he wants, black can also have both rooks on the 7th rank, protecting the whole 7th rank here. So that's a good flexible move there for black. Rook d3. You guys know rook lifts is my favorite move in chess. Don't you just love a good rook lift? g5. Now the king, like I mentioned before, is going to just a good safe square where it's out of the action. Rook e7, queen f3, king d8, bishop d2. Maybe the bishop wants to reroute like this. King c8. Now, wow, Caruana is just moving his king back and forth. Are you serious? Is Caruana out of moves at this point? Is his position hopeless at this point? Let's see what happens. Queen f1, rook d6, f takes g, bishop takes. Now the bishops come off the board. Now you have an even more simplified position here. Now that the bishops have been traded off. Queen f5, check. And it's a double attack. It's a fork. It also hits the pawn here on g5. So after the rook blocks the check, white is able to grab that pawn on g5. There goes another pawn. Now these two g and h pawns here are looking beautiful. I mean, they're just going to march right up the board here if Caruana doesn't watch them. Queen e5. Caruana would like to have a queen trade at this point because it would be an easier position for him to hold if he can eliminate this powerful queen. Queen h6. Of course, Karjakin was not going to trade queens at this point. g5. Look at the pawn starting to roll. Queen d6. Queen h8, check. Rook blocks. Now you have a clever move here, queen h4, with the idea of once this pawn moves to g6, it's going to be a discovery here on the king, excuse me. So black stops that by playing queen g6, stops the pawn from going anywhere. Queen g4. Now you have rook e5. Caruana is attacking that pawn on g5 with both pieces. But Karjakin can just shore up that pawn by playing h4. Now those two pawns are looking very indestructible. King e7. Rook d2. Still protects this pawn on c2. So now you have b5. This is an attempt to undermine the protector of this bishop here if he can eliminate this c-pawn here. And now you have an incredible move. Bishop f7. Wow. Hold on. What just happened here? Karjakin is showing some beautiful tactics in this game. So he takes on f7 here, and it hits the queen. But if you notice, this rook here on d7 is also attacked by the rook and the queen. So that's just a beautiful, beautiful display of tactics. Queen f5. Now you have the rook captures rook, check. And now the queens come off the board. And basically what Karjakin did there was he grabbed another pawn, but he was also able to simplify the position to where it's technically just a one game for him. He just has to play correctly at this point because of these two passers here, and they're so close to promotion. G6 protects the bishop that was under attack. King E7. C takes B, and another pawn falls. Rook H5. Black is going after this pawn here. C4 shores up this pawn on B. B5. So black is able to capture the H pawn. But now he has his hands full though. How is he going to stop all of these pawns over here? And then he still can't forget about this pawn here that's only 2 squares away from promotion. So black has his hands full. Even though he has a rook, it's still a tough task. So now you have rook g4, keeping an eye on this g pawn here, because again, it's only 2 squares away from promotion. So now Karjakin says, okay, I'm just going to play over here. King d6, getting ready to try to stop whatever Karjakin is doing. Of course, Karjakin would like to push his pawns up the board. A6, this is a clever move here, because now once Karjakin plays b6, he sacks the b pawn, but then the a pawn can go ahead and promote. So the king goes to c7 to try to stop that plan. But now you have king b3. And it's pretty simple for white. The king is just going to march right on over. And it's just going to slow walk its way right on over here and help this pawn right here promote. And so Caruana actually resigned at this point, because even though the plan is very clear for both players, there's nothing that Caruana can do to stop that plan, because the king has to keep an eye over here to make sure that this pawn doesn't promote, to make sure that these pawns here don't promote. So the king has to stay over here on this side, and then that allows the king to just march right on over. So that was a great game by Sergey Karjakin. He really impressed me in that game there. He showed some great tactics. He played very ambitiously. He wasn't afraid to sack his pieces in order to get a very ambitious line, to get a very dynamic position, I should say. So with that, he joins Fabiano Caruana for a tie for first place. They both have 7 points. And then there's 3 players behind the both of them. It's Shaq Mami, Grischuk, and Ding Loren. They're all tied a half point back at 6.5. And I just want to note and say that Ding Loren finally won a game today. He wound up beating Shaq Mami today. So with that, he's only a half point back. So it's anyone's, not well, except for Kramnik So and Aronian. Other than those 3, it's anyone else's game. They can still win it. So, okay, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. Tomorrow is a rest day, so I won't be posting any videos. Wish me luck in the tournament, guys. I didn't do too bad today. I actually won 2 games, and I drew the 3rd game against someone that was 300 points higher than me. So it was a pretty good day today. Alright, guys, until next time, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.